Welcome to Alaska, everybody. Been looking forward to this. We're going to take the Chevy out today. Let's get started. So I put the JAT tire pack on. I held back from the entire first season from using any DLC, but I've got to say, these tires are so much better than the base game tires. I think it's really worth getting them. I just don't want to struggle anymore in Alaska. So the first thing we're going to do is pick up a radar trailer and activate it right here at the trailer store. Basically every region that has a trailer store right outside the garage, I would recommend using this thing right away, because there are a lot of hidden upgrades and tasks in the location of the garage that this thing can reveal. And I'm not going to drag it around with me through the whole region. I just wanted to use it right away here, and we'll sell it back. And then, as you can see, there's an upgrade right here that would not have been discovered unless we had driven over there. So the first thing we're going to do is head out of the garage. We're going to go this way, go through the fence, and there's a little back road right up here. There it is. We'll jump on this and take this up to that upgrade. I chose to use the Chevy instead of the Scout 800, even though the Scout 800 would probably do better in the mud and snow because of the all-time diff lock. But the difference between the two vehicles, the Scout 800 does not have as sharp of a turning radius as the Chevy. So the Chevy does a lot better in these winding mountain passes like this. And also the Scout 800, most of the weight is to the back of it. So like when you're climbing hills and stuff, the front tires tend to come off the ground, and there's going to be a lot of hill climbing. We're already here. And up ahead we'll see that we have the raised suspension upgrade for the Ford CLT 9000. Alaska has a lot of upgrades that are not, they're not for trucks that you find in the game. For instance, this truck here we'd have to purchase. It's a highway truck. I really do like the truck, but I also really enjoy playing the game with only the vehicles that I find instead of buying them. That's just a personal preference. I'm not against buying vehicles whatsoever, and I recommend that if you're not familiar with them, that you do buy the vehicles and go through them and find out what their strengths are. All the vehicles in this game have different strengths and different weaknesses, and when you figure out what those are, you'll be a lot more educated to know like which vehicles to use for which jobs and what they excel at. We'll just continue up this road. There's another task up here that's a hidden task, and we'll drive up ahead here and find that right away. I also, after thinking about it quite a bit last season in Michigan, all of the night driving scenes, they really had a hard time showing up on the videos. So I decided to start a new game plus, and of course I flipped right away. So let's just grab that tree. There we go. I decided to start a new game plus in place of the old profile. The only thing I changed was I made it daytime all the time, just for the sake of the videos. Everything else is the same, and I had to go through Michigan and get all of the trucks and upgrades again before I could start here. But my profile doesn't have anything complete in Michigan because I didn't do any of the work. I actually did give myself rank 20 because that was one of the options in the new game plus. And we were at rank 19, so we are one rank higher than we were before. And then I gave myself the same amount of money that I had when we left Michigan using Money Mod. So I was within like $600. I'm a little bit short, but pretty close. So we could have driven around to get down here, but we have an autonomous winch, and this way is a little bit quicker, so I'm just gonna pull myself down the hill here and get flipped back over. But the correct way is to go back to the little wooden bridge that we just drove across, and you go down the hill a little bit, and then you'll see there's a Scout fuel trailer here. We'll pick this up, get it spun around, and we'll take it back up the hill and turn it in. All right, so this is the way that we would have come down if I hadn't driven off the cliff. In this first episode, we're going to scout about half of Northport, and we'll accomplish any of the smaller scout tasks that we can accomplish with this truck along the way. Now before I turn this in, I'm going to make sure that I fuel up off of it, just so I have that little extra buffer to get me to the next fuel point. Whoops, that's not even the right one. It's this one. So we got that done. We'll just turn around and take the road back out. There's no reason to go flying off the cliff again, right? There's a lot of free fuel in Alaska. A lot. I mean, if you thought Island Lake had a lot, this is an entire region of free fuel. So that's why I'm not running with any type of fuel add-ons with my truck. I don't have the giant roof rack, and I don't have the small roof rack with the extra fuel. Both of those add a lot of extra weight to the top of your truck, and not only do they make it less stable, but they're also going to reduce the performance in the mud by having that extra weight on your vehicle. It bogs you down quite a bit. So the truck is definitely more enjoyable to drive without it, at least in my opinion. I think so. And then as you can see, these JAT tires are a lot better performing than the base game tires. They're wider, they have a wider grip on the ground, and then they have a much higher mud rating. They have a little bit lower dirt, like off-road rating, but the mud rating makes up for it with these little Scouts. The off-road gearbox is definitely fuel hungry with this big engine. We have the 5.2 liter in this, but we'll be okay as long as we can stay focused on where we're going, you know, not spend any extra time running around doing side jobs. So the first thing we'll do is discover this trailer, get a little bit of XP for that. This trailer is going to be one of our jobs that we have to do before we can leave this region, or you know, the first map here. We don't have to do it before we can leave the first map, but the way that I'm going to show you guys, we're going to do all the contracts on the first map before we go into the second one. There's some upgrades here that we'll pick up, and also a couple trucks, and we'll use those and see how they perform in Northport. We're going to scout about half of the region, or half of this map out today, and then on the next episode we'll finish the scouting of Northport and get started on some jobs. Here we'll find another upgrade. This is going to be raised suspension for the Hummer H2, which is a truck that we're going to get in Northport, and we can just drive ahead, use our low and diff lock, and we'll cruise right up this hill. There it is. This road seems a little bit big for this little truck. So the way the snow is coated to act more like mud, and that's why you'll notice that these mud tires do perform pretty decent in it. And also there's a lot of mud underneath the snow. So once you break through it, that's what ends up happening, is you end up in mud. The chain tires, their coating is basically the same as an all-terrain tire, but with a boost on the off-road rating. In this environment, the chain tires on the Scouts specifically really suck. I wouldn't advise using them at all. Only benefit that they really do have is when you're purely on ice and there's road underneath, highway, tarmac. We'll take a left here and sneak off into this back road. What am I hitting? A tree. Just pull off of here. There we go. The tree branches are definitely a pain in the ass. Sometimes you don't even have to be touching them, just close to them, and they hang you up. But this road here will be a good example of why I'm using the Chevy instead of the Scout 800. There's a lot of hills and twists and turns and winding roads. And the Scout 800, even though, like I said before, it does perform better in the mud and the snow, it is going to make driving these roads a lot more miserable. A lot of three-point turns to get around these sharp corners. I know in Michigan, I really emphasized driving off the roads because the roads tend to be the worst place to drive in Michigan because of all the mud. And then driving off the roads, there's a lot of hard grass and hard surfaces that you can drive on and get places a lot quicker. In Alaska, it's kind of the opposite. The roads tend to be, even though they're all mud, they tend to be better because once you leave the road, it's deep snow and you can get through the snow. But this is a beautiful shot right here. Oftentimes you have to drop it down into low and use the diff lock, which just slows down your progress. So, and then once you get one of your front tires off the road, it just drags you sideways. Okay, so this will be our first, well, no, not our first, our second hidden scout task. Can't go to waste. We'll do this one right away. All we have to do is drag this lodestar up the hill back where we just came from. And we're right over by the port right now. As you can see, the port is right here. So we just have to take it up here to the top of the hill. We'll turn the engine on. The truck is fully repaired and fully fueled. We will be sneaking fuel out of it before we turn it in. It does not require to be full by any means. The Lodestar has all-time all-wheel drive and all-time diff lock. So it will help itself through here. Just make sure you turn the engine on while you're pulling it. It does have highway tires, so it's not going to be that big of a help. And even more detrimental is that it doesn't have the raised suspension, and that thing stinks without the raised suspension. It's got a fuel tank on the side that hangs down, and that's what's stuck on that rock right there, I believe. That fuel tank gets caught on everything. So with the raised suspension, it definitely is an awesome Scout to use, but without it, it just sucks. We won't get that until we get into the next map, Mountain River. Sometimes the vehicles that you're pulling, they should be driving themselves, but they don't sometimes. And so if you just hold your winch down, it actually will force the wheels to turn on the vehicle you're pulling, instead of just acting like the brakes are locked up. I'm gonna drop the winch so I can get repositioned here because this corner is a little bit tight. And then I'll hook back up to it and hold down Y, and it drives itself again. Sometimes you have to reconnect your winch to the inside corner of the vehicle you're pulling to get it to go around these tighter turns. You see, we almost burned an entire fuel tank since that Scout fuel trailer that we turned in, and that wasn't that long ago. The biggest reason why we're struggling with fuel consumption right now is that off-road gearbox. If you don't like it, if you want a little bit more buffer between fill-ups, you can use the highway gearbox. It's a lot more fuel efficient than this. If the highway gearbox is too fast, you can just go back to the balanced gearbox. Let's say the Scout 800, for instance, the highway gearbox is actually pretty decent with it because it has the all-time diff lock. We'll run up the road here and activate this bridge task. As you can see, one of the struggles with the icy roads is you spin around a lot. Bridge repair. Let's get this activated. We don't need to track it. We'll be doing it later, but we're going to run through here and activate as many tasks as possible, and we'll just go around the bridge right down through the river. Shouldn't have any issues getting through here. I did upgrade the snorkel. The old snorkel was a little bit lower, not much. This one looks a lot cooler. And I upgraded the off-road lights. I got rid of the ones that had the beacons on them. And I added some cab lights, just for pure aesthetic reasons. We'll take this little trail that runs back up into the mountains here, and just up ahead we'll find another upgrade, alternating between low, high, and low. We'll get through this. And just down the hill here into the riverbed, we'll find the upgrade for some of the medium-sized trucks. This is the 2600. As you can see, it does work on a lot of the medium-sized trucks. And then we can back up the hill, and we'll back up this way so that we can take a back road, not even a road, but basically we're gonna drive up the hill here and go get there's another Chevy just like this at the top of this mountain. Needs to be turned in down the road, so we'll drag it up there. Just up over the top of this peak, there it is, stuck in the mountains. We'll accept that and start tracking. Now, this Chevy, it's kind of in an awkward position, so I'm gonna actually pull it backwards here a little bit. I want to be able to get to the front of it. There we go. I'm gonna put a little bit of fuel in it just so that I can start it and make sure that it has fuel to use the brakes going down this mountain here. Actually, I'm gonna start it right now just so it has a little bit of, so it can give me a little help. I should not have pulled it through the trees. It's ridiculous. These trees are just shitty. There. Now we got that going, and down the hill we go. Just stay to the right until we can get out onto the road here. I do have the engine on, and I'll turn it back off now. Actually, I'm gonna leave it on. We've got matching broken headlights. We'll take the riverbed across. It's nice and rocky. Shouldn't have any issues here. So sometimes the vehicles you're pulling will pull better with the engine turned off, because like I said, there's some type of bug that's causing them well, with these scouts anyway in this region. It's causing them to act as though the parking brake is on when you turn the engine on. It should not be doing that, but it is. So I have the engine off right now, and it's pulling a little bit nicer. The only downside is I have to drive with diff lock on to get it through here. And I'll make sure to take my fuel back out of it before I turn it in. There we go. And we have another one done. Now before we take off again, we'll run over to the gas station here and top off on fuel. There we go. Trying to stay on the road is a challenge. I'm all over the place here. Now we'll leave the road and we'll head off this way into the trees. We can take a little shortcut to the next task. Go right down through the bottom here. Probably not the best road to take with a truck, but with the scouts it should be fine. You do have to watch out for these bushes. Sometimes they get hung up underneath your vehicle. Sometimes they flip you over. Rocks fall, we can activate that. And then we'll head off. Instead of taking that road down, we'll just head straight over to the trees here. It's a little better driving on this side. If you drive through the bottom there where the road is, it's so deep, the mud is so deep, you'll be winching your way all the way through there. And that goes for any vehicle you take in there. Scout, truck, it doesn't matter. It's always good to stay by the trees. And we're back to the road. So we can run up this way. We'll take the road a little ways down. There's a warehouse over here that has a maintenance trailer that's kind of hidden back behind the building. We can go discover that and activate another task over here. Power lines check, we'll get that activated. And then we can pull this trailer out to a place that's going to be more accessible to everything, so we don't have to drive all the way back here every time we want to use it. I like to pull it up here and just drop it off on the side of the road. A little bit of force there, kind of knocked me out of the way. That should be good. For now, grab some fuel out of it. Now we can take this road back to the other warehouse and then drive out the backside. We do have another task over here to activate as well. Trailer park, we can start tracking that one right now. And it's just up the mountainside there. So we'll go out the back, jump back on the road that we were going to take. And even though it's showing a detour sign, we're not taking the detour. That detour is deep mud. So we'll drive up here and activate, what is this one? Rocks, Stonefall. We got that activated. I think we can just drive right over the top of the rocks here. We'll use their winch to help us get across. There it is, right over the top. It ain't no thing. And the first thing we'll do is take a left here and run up to the trailer park, complete this, and also discover this contest. The contest is basically just pulling that trailer down to the port. It's not hard. You have a fair amount of time to complete it in to get gold, but I'm not going to work on that right now. Just doing the scouting tasks. And if you were doing it, you would go this direction that we're going now. And then take this left turn. And these roads are pretty twisty and windy. And then we can get this watchtower. There's an upgrade discovered right here. And then right after that, we'll find our first off-road class truck, the Royal BM17. So let's go back up the hill where we just came down, and then we'll go over the top of the mountain. It's pretty flat, and we can take that down to the upgrade. It's probably the easiest way to get to it. The snow's kind of deep, but it's not really even deep. It's just slow moving. You have to put it in diff lock all the time to get through here. Nice shot of the Chevy. We can go down the mountainside and go right between these trees. And as you can see, that upgrade is directly ahead. The Cat CT680, which is another vehicle you have to purchase. When driving out of here, I've tried this multiple ways, and I think driving through the riverbed is possibly the best road. It's cattails, they get you hung up. And then if you drive on the shoreline there, it's really deep mud. It's pretty slow moving. Not that this is fast moving by any means, but it's probably faster. And then we'll use this tree to winch our way up out of here. There's some roots here that get you kind of hung up, but shouldn't be too big of an issue. My advice would be to stay close to the trees at all times if you can. You always have something to winch to if you roll over or just need to get out of a deep muddy spot. We can drive up behind this truck to discover it. We'll jump in it real quick, and I'm going to refuel the Chevy, and we'll just recover this truck because there's nothing we can really do with it right now in this condition. There is an engine upgrade, the 2600 that we picked up in the riverbed. We can put that in it right away. And other than that, we'll just jump back to the Chevy. Now we have a full tank of fuel again. We can back out of here. We'll cross the river over here. We'll try to stick to the right. It's a little less treacherous on this side. Honestly, I would probably say that the balance gearbox is doing better than this in these deep spots. I do play with the balance gearbox a lot in the Scouts. It has a lot further range for fuel. I think it actually does better here than this, even in low with the diff lock engaged. But you can decide that for yourself from experimenting with different gearboxes and seeing how they perform. We can just follow the side of the road. This is one situation where you don't want to drive directly on the road. It's really nasty through here. And then we'll cut across to the other side and then cut across again. These small trees, they do break. You can drive over them, but with the Scouts, they tend to get hung up on them pretty easily. So I try to avoid driving over them if possible. The next task we'll do is actually up on the screen, the power lines check. Once we get back to the main road, we'll mark out a path for that. And now we can just take the back way into this warehouse to cut down on some time driving through mud. We'll head up the way and pick up a little bit more fuel just to make sure we make it to the next fuel stop. Let's get fueled up and we'll mark out our path. So first we're gonna go point A, watchtower, point B, we'll head down, there's a little road down here. We'll head down to that road. That's our path. Let's go. The first tower, we'll just cut through the trees here. It's kind of swampy here at the first part of it, but once we get through here, we should be just fine. Those trees you drive over, they really slow you down. Now going up through here, it doesn't look like there's a lot of room here, but you can get right through these trees without any issue. And then stick to the right again. Just try to drive through the middle of them so that you don't get hung up on a branch. There we go. And as you see the tower coming into place, we'll stay to the left side of it and get the first waypoint here. Camera angle is just horrendous with these. You got the first one. I know you can't see it. We'll drive right down between these trees down into the bottom here. There's kind of a flat spot down here that you can drive down into. More trees to try to flip you over. And then once you get through that, just turn right back up the hill. And there's a road up here we can intersect with. And that'll take us to the watchtower. Here's the road I was talking about. There's kind of a flat spot down here to drive across again. And we'll go right up the other side. Get the next the next power line tower. I would say do not try to drive on those hillsides. You will flip over. It's going to be a major pain in your ass, and then there's nothing to really winch yourself up to. You can use these little trees, but sometimes they don't have enough strength to hold you. So we'll get that first, and we're going to head back down to the road. We'll make a little detour off the task, grab another upgrade, and get refueled again. And now we're back to the main road. We'll be fine. Now we can head this way. There's a warehouse down here. I don't typically use this warehouse. Everything that it offers I can get somewhere else that's easier to access. But we're going to head in there because there's a fuel trailer in there that we'll discover. And I'm going to stay to the left here so that I have some trees to winch to instead of driving through that water. There's nothing to really winch to. It's just slow moving through there with this truck. So I was playing this on my hard mode save the other day with the same truck, but I had the balance gearbox and the fuel lasted a lot longer. And I'm not even joking. I really do think that the balance gearbox was performing better than this. It wasn't near as hard to get through this stuff. So we're fueled up. We'll head back out of here. And on our way back, we'll pick up another upgrade for the Hummer. This time we'll stay to the left. There's a little creek that runs through here. And once we reach that, then we'll be able to just follow it up to the upgrade. You do have to be a little bit careful that you don't roll over through here. It's kind of a sharp incline, but you'll be fine. And there it is. This will be the diff lock, I believe, for the Hummer. Gaugeable diff lock. Now we can back out of here and retrace our steps back to the main road. It's a little slow moving through here, but we can get through here just fine. And now that we're back, we'll hang a left on the main road here, and we can continue with the power lines check task. The sun is really bright. We'll just go right through the fence follow this back road around the log pile, and then up to the right is the next waypoint, but there's also a task up here. So first let's get the waypoint, and then we'll just back over and activate that task. Lost trailer, all we need to do is turn this trailer in so we don't actually have to have a truck. We can use our scout to pull this back down the hill, and the drop-off point is really not far from here. Once you get it rolling down the hill, it'll do just fine, as long as you can keep it out of the trees. The last waypoint that we're going to reach is just up ahead. Now I'm going to make sure that I pull the trailer up out of the mud before I drop it, and then we can go in through the trees here. Actually, I would say go around the trees, the big ones. Now that's complete. We'll just turn around and head back. I think there's a clearing here that we can drive through. I was kind of eyeballing it when we were dropping off that service trailer. Right through here. That's not so bad. So just drive right through that spot there. And we'll get this trailer and take it with us. Burning a lot of fuel trying to pull this thing through the mud. But there is a trailer store where we drop this off, and we'll be able to get refueled again. The Chevy pulling a big trailer, although it is muddy. You just have to be careful that it doesn't flip you over when it's trying to pass you. Stay out of the trees. We're almost there. And that is actually the task that we're working on, lost trailer. So we'll just pull it right in here. And we got promoted to rank 21. Now we'll head to the trailer store. We'll get refueled and repaired. I keep forgetting, because it was only a recent update that they added these service scout trailers. So I keep forgetting that you can repair your scouts. It used to be you only had roof racks and trunk supplies that you could repair yourself with. Now that that's in the game, it's actually made it a lot more interesting to me. I do like having them. I don't like dragging them around. They're a lot of weight to be pulling around behind you. I do like having them at the trailer stores. So running up the hill here, we'll find our first engine upgrade for the Hummer, the 6.2. And now let's just head back down the way we came, right through the trees again. Got a little bit wild there. Okay, there. We'll take the back way out of here and cut across the snow in low, I guess, again. And straight ahead, we'll find another task that we can activate. Abandoned supplies. That's another job to do with one of the bigger trucks. And we have another task here. This one is lost tube. By activating that, it will spawn a big pipe down in the riverbed. And then up here, we'll find another task. We'll get this one activated. This is the find the radio station task. We can track that. That'll be the next thing we work on. Next stop is the drill site. I'm getting more concerned about this gearbox choice. It's really been going through the fuel fast. It's kind of muddy here, but we'll be okay. And we're taking the road to the oil field so we can turn right. We'll grab this watchtower as we're going past it. That is the drill site. I think I'm gonna get fuel. If I had the other gearbox in, I wouldn't worry about it, but I do not want to get up in the mountains and run out of fuel up there, because that will be the end of our journey. I'll show you where there's a hidden fuel trailer over here. There's all kinds of them around here. This one's tucked back behind the building in the oil tanks here. But before we get fueled up, let's grab this upgrade right here. That is an engine for some of the heavy trucks, like the twin steer. And then we can back out of here again, the same way we came in. I guess another option would be if you really do want to use the off-road gearbox, you could go down from the 5.2 engine down to like the 5.0 or even the 4.4. Both of those are going to be a lot more economical than this one. I pretty much have this thing maxed out. In SnowRunner, there is always a trade-off. The trade-off in this situation is fuel economy. All right, now we can take this turn and we'll head up the hillside here and find the radio station. Now, instead of following the road around, I'm just gonna take a shortcut up the hill here. It's going to cut off a lot of that road, and there's actually a pretty gnarly ice spot up there that makes it difficult with this vehicle without having chain tires, and this lets you avoid all of that. It's right there to the left. And then instead of following the road around that way, I usually just go right up here through the trees. It's another shortcut. We're basically just going as the crow flies instead of taking the winding, twisting turns. And we made it. There we go, find the radio station complete. This is where we're gonna leave off today. On the next episode, we'll continue scouting Northport and pick up that Hummer. hopefully you come back and check it out. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.